Welcome to All America Selections Quick Gardening Tips. Today is all about peppers. We're going to talk about preparing the seed starting mix, how do you plant them in cells, when you would start the peppers, and we're going to talk about why you might top off your pepper plants. Now, one of the most important things you can do is prepare your seed starting mix the right way. Most seed starting mix is peat moss based. Sometimes it's coco coir, sometimes it's a combination of both. Sometimes there's vermiculite in there. To get it prepared for planting your seeds, you want to pre-moisten it. Put in enough moisture so that it's damp all the way through and that when you squeeze it, no water comes out. Now, seed starting mix is notorious for having fungus gnat eggs in it, and you can take care of that two ways, and this really makes a difference because fungus gnat eggs can last an extremely long time, even over a freeze, in your starting mixes. And when you put them into a nice, warm temperature like where you grow your peppers, the eggs hatch and then you get an infestation. Put this into a bowl when it's dry right out of the bag and pre-moisten it with boiling water. That boiling water will kill off the fungus gnat eggs. You can also pre-moisten it with just regular tap water, cold water. Put it into a bag like this, close it, and then microwave it for a minute to a minute and 30 seconds. Now you have to keep an eye on it because you are putting in peat moss into your microwave. After about a minute, take it out, fluff it up, move it around, put it in for another minute, and that should take care of the fungus gnat eggs. So you have a pre-moistened seed starting mix. And the key to really starting your peppers off and all your seed starts nicely is to have a nice densely packed seed cell. What do I mean by that? If you just take your seed starting mix, you put it in here. Now if this was dry, you also have a problem with watering because dry starting mix tends to float on water and separate from water. So you always want to pre-moisten it so that you can easily water your seed starts. Now this looks like it's ready for planting, but if you press down on it, you can see how much it collapsed down. I call this thumb packing. Fill it up once, press it down, add some more starting mix, and you have a great starting base for your seeds. Now today I'm planting Cornito Gallio. I grew this last year. It's a yellow long pepper, extremely sweet, almost tastes like fruit. And just for the demonstration, I'll just do one quick corner here. I just drop in 2 seeds into a cell, just like that. Now let's do 2. So it looks just like that. Press them down. Let me grab the stick here. Press them down about 1/4 inch deep to 1/2 inch deep. Don't over worry about the depth. And once they're down just like that, cover them up and they're ready to go. When this tray is filled with my seed starts, I fill the tray so water comes up to about here. That's called bottom watering. The water will absorb up through here. Any excess that's left in here, after about 20 minutes you can just pour out. But with some practice you figure it out and usually you don't have any excess water. The reason you want to water from the bottom is because if you water from the top, it's going to splash soil around. If you're getting any kind of fungus or diseases, it splashes the fungus and disease around. So always bottom water. But this is the perfect way to get your seed starts going. Now, you start peppers indoors when your nighttime temperatures are going to reach and stay in the 50 to 60 degree nighttime temperatures. And they like warm weather. So if you put these out into the cold temperatures, into cold soil, they just sit there. Sometimes they kind of get purpley, they look sickly, they're just not going to grow. So figure out when it's going to be about 50 to 60 degree nights regularly in your area, count back 8 to 12 weeks, and that's when you would seed start your pepper plants. And they can do perfectly fine indoors for 8 to 12 weeks. Today is March 10th, and these have been growing since February 4th, and they're actually ready to move into cups. These plants over here, I think were planted in the beginning of January. We'll get to that plant in a second. The other tip I have is, for the last 2 years, I've been growing peppers 2 per cell, 1 per cell, whatever you want, but when they go into the ground, you don't just have to plant 1 pepper plant in a space. You can actually plant 2 for 99% of the varieties. and they'll do perfectly fine. You'll increase your production, you'll increase your yield, and the plants do really, really well. If you just wanted to stick with one plant, if 2 seeds came up, you would remove 1 pepper plant, and they can stay in this size cell a good 4 to 5 weeks before you have to transplant them up into cups. Now, as your peppers get larger, you may have heard examples of, I'm going to top off my pepper plant. And topping off a pepper plant means you actually break off the growing tip. And when you break off the growing tip, it forces the plant to have a lot more side growth. And with more side growth, you're going to get more flowers, and it does increase production. Now, I found this doesn't work that well with bell peppers, but for most plants it does really well. And here's an example that I want you to see. 2 pepper plants are in here, same variety of plant. This one is not topped off, the growing tip is still there. And you can see very little side growth. This is one that I topped off maybe 10 days ago, and look at all the side growth. This plant's going to be stockier, it's going to have more flowers, you're going to get more peppers, and you can see that it's just looking really, really nice. Now, if you're in a zone where your pepper plants don't get hit by a winter freeze and don't die off, you really probably don't have to prune it, but in my area, I have a winter that comes, so I want to get these out when they're nice and stocky, when there's a lot of side shoots, get as much production as I can, because come our late fall and winter, my pepper plants die off. But again, if you're, like in Texas or somewhere, pepper plants will grow year after year after year, and you don't necessarily have to top them off when you're in that type of zone. These videos will be showing up in our Facebook group, Flower and Vegetable Winners, and also on our YouTube channel, All America Selections, Flower and Vegetable Winners. Please join our group, and a lot more tips will be on the way. Thanks for watching.